So now we want to start, we want to display data here. So we have to pull the data that we're getting. So here is where we had printed out this dot response. And we can see that the city is in an element called name. All right, so what I'm doing here is I made a variable data so that I don't have to say this dot response over and over again. And I want to look and make sure that I have the name. I want to make sure that this is the correct way to reference that data. So let's save and refresh. And here, city is Fremont. So that is the way to get the city. Now, the other thing that we want to get is the temperature. So we'll notice that temperature, okay, in the object that's returned, there is an object called main. And in the object main, there is temperature. So we should be able to log, because I want to make sure that I can see all my data before I start putting it on my page. So this should be data.main.temp. Let's see if that's correct. And there we have it. We have the temperature. All right, what else did I want to get? I wanted to get the description and the humidity. All right, so let's look in here again. Where is the description? So the description is in weather. Here we go. Now, there is an object called weather. This object is an array. So element 0 of this array has an object that has description in it. So to access this, it's going to be data dot weather 0 dot description. All right, let's check this out. Description is data dot weather 0 dot description. So this is why you must look at your JSON data to see how to access it. And we have that there. And again, if I go back to where I did it, I originally did just a test. Sometimes you can see a little better here what it is. So where is weather? Here's weather in here. So you can see weather. You see the square brackets. That's what tells me it is an array. It's an array with only one element in it, but it is an array. So that's why I have to reference weather square bracket 0 dot description. And then if I want the humidity is in main, very similar to where we got the temperature. So if I want the humidity, I'm going to actually just copy this. It should be this dot humidity. Let's save and make sure. All right, so those are the things that I want to display. So I have my data, right? So all we need to do is actually display it on the page. And remember, we have a div that we're going to put it in, right? If I go back to my index.html, I have a div called weather info. Now, also, it could be that I put in an invalid zip code. So I need to put something in there one way or the other. So I am going to, at the top here, set up a constant weather info equals document.getElement by ID weather info, just this. Right, so now that I have all my data, put data on the page. And so what I'm going to say is, and I'm just going to use a series of paragraphs, right? So weather info, well, let's build up the string. Let's make this a little easier to do. So I'm going to say constant output equals. So I'm going to create this whole string, right? So I want a p tag, and I'm going to say city, and I'm going to concatenate to that data.name. Remember, because right here we can see that's where the city is. And then I'm going to close that p tag. Right? How about we do this way? And then I'm going to add on to this. So I'm going to do plus equal, so I'm adding on another paragraph. And so this is going to be my p tag, description. Oh no, I want my current temperature first. Current temp. And that is data.main.temp. Close my p tag. So there's a lot of little details in doing this. Then let me add some more onto this. I'm going to put my description. So this is a p tag description. And what I'm going to put in there is this. I'm going to just copy it. Close my p tag. And the last is the humidity. P tag humidity. Now you could decide to format this however you want to. I just always like to just pretty much get the data there first and then think about how to make it a little nicer in terms of format. Right, so this is what I want to display on that page. So display this in the div. So that is going to be weatherinfo.innerHTML equals output. Right? Now let's test this. And I have an error in line 40. Very good. So this can't be a constant if I'm going to keep adding it, right? So I have to, this has to be let. If you make a variable a constant, then you only have one chance to put data in it. So this error message over here said assignment to constant variable. It gave me the line item. So that was just, I need to make this variable using let instead of using constant. Constants are things that only get a value in them one time. And there we have it. All right. The data is working. I have a typo here on humidity. So I'll fix that. Humidity. And if I want to actually put, you know, the degrees, I might want this to say, you can see right now, I just have that. If I want to say degrees, as I did in my original here, then here on the temperature, to get that little degree symbol, that's a special character, DEG semicolon, and then F. And if I want my humidity here to be %, then I'll do that. So let's check these changes. back to this one. All right, looks good. But now what happens if I put in a zip code that, you know, that's not a good zip code, right? Oh, that actually is a zip code. Let's try putting in, is there a zip code? 99999. All right, so not found, right? So what we need to do is be able to give an error message if there's a problem. So we have, if the status is 200, we want to do all this. What we need is to add an else down here, because if it's not a good zip code, then we won't get a 200 status. Weather info.innerHTML equals weather data unavailable. All right, let's test that. What did I put in? All nines. Weather info, I think I have a typo, line 47. Yes. All right. Very easy to have typos. And we see we have weather data unavailable, right? So let's just close the console now and just test it. So if I put in a different, right, that's Houston. Unavailable, right? 94857, I'm not sure. All right, so those are unavailable, but all right, so it looks like it's all working really well. So again, the fundamental of what we did here was once we set up our request, we set up a place to handle the result, sent the request, and then here. So all these console logs, they're still there, but you don't need them. You can just comment them out. That was so that we could make sure that we had access to the data that we actually wanted to display on this page. Just to show you one more thing, let's console log output to show you what is actually going on there. So again, what we were just doing was building the string that had all the data in it. So if I do this again, I need to refresh the page. All right, so you see I logged out what was the output, and you can see what I have here is this is the content. P tag, closing P tag, P tag, closing P tag, right? So all of that syntax has to be correct in order to see that displayed on the page. So you want to use your console log to do that. So there you have your weather app. And remember, if you want to duplicate this, you do need to go here and sign in and request your API, right? And that's a very easy thing to do over here. I've already done it. So, but you would go in and you would request your API. Any questions? Leave me a comment. Thanks.